Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries. I have a planner video today that I wanted to share with you all, and this is a new planner to my channel. I recently got this about a month ago, and I shared the unboxing / review I gave of the blank version of this, and this is the Take a Note A5 planner. It is a Taiwanese planner. It is the English version, so it does have like the English characters. It doesn't have the Chinese characters. And I was originally going to make a full setup video of this, but I decided I wanted to set it up on my own, really just to get a feel of it, and then I wanted to share what the end product was with you guys. So this is the end product. I'm going to share how I've been using this past month of May, and how I set it up to be my astrology planner, which is something that I wasn't really intending on doing this year, but ended up doing it anyways. Let me start with the cover here. So I have a clear cover on this. This is a Sterling Ink A5 clear cover. The Midori A5 clear cover fits just as well, as does the Lauren Felts Designs clear cover. This is just the only clear one I had left that I didn't feel like buying a new one. So, but all the other ones do fit this size planner. And I believe Take a Note has a specific clear cover for their planners too. So lots of options if you wanted to use a clear cover. For these stickers on the front here, I have a couple from Sticky Club. These two are from Sticky Club. The Fairy Girls are from London Gifties. This big triangle sticker is from my shop. It is the Earth Elements sticker. I have my white Zodiac vinyl from my shop as well. And then I have the new release that I just did, which is the Zodiac tarot cards and nutrition labels. This is the tarot card version of the Taurus card, which I am a Taurus, so that's why I wanted to put that on there. And then of course I have some seals from the Coffee Monsters Co. and a vinyl from her as well. I filled in the blank spaces with a gold pen. So this is a gold paint pen. I got this off of Jet Pens. It is the Pen Touch Gold. It's, I believe, a 1.0mm tip. It's really small. And this just behaves like your typical paint pen where you push the top in and the paint comes out. It does dry really fast though. And then I also added in just some random little star stickers. This is the sheet that I have. I have no idea where I got this from. This is seriously probably a 5-year plus old sticker sheet that I'm just going through my stash of stuff. But yeah, it's just little tiny star stickers. And then on the inside, I went ahead and tipped in a vellum. This is the Constellation vellum from my shop, and I just wanted to have like a nice little overlay for my nameplate page, which I kept very simple. I used the Pastel Moons planner label from my shop again, and then I hand lettered my name with a gold Uniball, what is this? Uniball Signo gold gel pen. And then I added some more of those star stickers and the gold dots. I also decided to go ahead and tape the flyleaf page to the cardstock. I have this, I don't know, it's like a tactile thing. Like it just annoys me when the flyleaf pages are really like glued high up, and with this planner it was, so I just glued it together and that's that. For the year at a glance page, I decided to make this a place to track the full and new moons. Since this is my astrology planner, this just is a nice overview of seeing the different main moon phases. I debated on doing quarter moons, but I decided against it since I'm doing that in the monthlies. This tape here is from Notebook Therapy, and then I hand lettered the January through December monthlies in, again, that gold Signo pen. For the Gantt chart here, I struggled really hard on what to do with this. I ultimately just decided to do one thing versus the two blocks that it has, and this is tracking the Mercury in retrograde. Again, since this is more of an astrology planner, kind of like a way for me to study my astrology practice, this is really helpful for me to see actually when Mercury is going direct and when it is going retrograde. I think if this had space enough for all of the planets, I would do all of the planets, but I'm just going to be settled with Mercury for now because it's honestly the one that affects, I guess, majority of the population the most, at least according to social media. But I would love to be able to track the other planets as well, just to see, you know, when they're going retrograde. So I may have to play with this a little bit to see if I can fit the other planets on here too. Anyways, moving on into the Calendex pages or the index pages, I decided to set this up as a almost aspectarian. So it's showcasing the major aspects for each month depending on the planet. So like when the planets are trining or squaring each other, when there's a really strong degree of transit, basically. And I got all of this information from my Magic of Eye planner. You can also use Google to find aspectarians for your area. It is a little bit different depending on where you are located. You just have to go by degrees and time. And there is actually software you can purchase too if you're really wanting to get into this, that you can have direct degrees of what planets are in which house and all that kind of stuff. It can get very, very complex. But this is just the way I wanted to write this down and kind of track that. I did have a key here. This is what I used for colors. These are all mild liners. These ones. And I basically just assigned a color per planet. So Mercury is this kind of like coppery color, and I just highlighted every time Mercury either went direct, retrograde, or moved into a new zodiac sign. Or yeah, so like on January 1st, Mercury went direct, and then on the 13th of January, it moved into the Capricorn. So it helps me see, I guess, what kind of energy that planet's going to be having during that time. I know this is a very niche kind of thing, but you could easily use this section for any of your typical habit tracking, indexing, what have you. Honestly, I love the layout of this planner and how simple it is, because it like limits your options in a way, but at the same time, it gives you so many, like it gives you enough space, like limiting but with space. I hope that makes sense. I also made a little key here for retrograde and direct. So RX is retrograde and the little arrow is for direct. These stickers up here at the top are also from my shop. These are the Zodiac Doodles. I have them in clear and white matte, as are these symbols here. Those are also from my shop. Moving on into the monthly section, I only set up this last month of May. I do plan on going back and filling in the previous months, but I wanted to test out my feelings with this with the current month that I'm in, which is May. So I set this up as kind of a typical monthly plan where the aspects are what day, like each day has a different zodiac sign that we kind of sit in with the moon. And so I wrote all of that down. I wrote down the main moon phases using my moon phase stickers for my shop. And then I wrote down over here like the zodiac information. So May is both Taurus and Gemini. And I wrote down the dates for each of those ranges right here as well. And then since May is the 5th month, I decided to do all of the 5s for this astrology. So like sign number 5 is Leo, and I wrote down a little bit of information about that. The 5th house, wrote down information about that, and then the 5th planet is Mars, which I wrote down a little bit of information about that. I do think this is really good practice for me to just stay in the habit of continuing my knowledge with the planets and astrology and stuff, since I do find this very fascinating. I do want to have a separate section for this though in the back, which I did not set up yet, but I'll show you kind of what I'm going to do that I have in another book. Anyways, for the rest of the monthly, I did a section up here where it's like this month, which I'm setting intentions for my astrology practice. Slash the energies of the month, and then at the end of the month I will come back in and do a little review. And then at the bottom here, I'm just going to leave this blank for now. I don't really have any intentions of doing anything here. I may decorate it at some point, don't know yet. And then for the little sidebar over here, I decided to make this my tarot space. So previously I had a passport size common planner that I was using as a tarot practice slash like daily tarot pull kind of situation, and I really fell off of it after like a month, and I decided it was just a little too much for me right now and I wanted to dial it back. So I went to doing monthly pulls, and I think this is a much better like way for me to do it, because I'm still keeping a regular, you know, knowledge of tarot. Like, I'm still learning it and I'm still documenting, you know, my definitions and stuff, but it's not a day-to-day thing, so there's not as much pressure for me to keep up with it. So doing it monthly has been a lot easier, and I like being able to track it here in a monthly spread along with all of the astrology, which is really cool to me. The one thing that I do love about the monthly spreads, which I talked about when I originally reviewed this, is how much space there is. The monthly squares themselves are fairly small, but the amount of space you get around it is so incredible that, like, if you don't really use your monthly sections for anything other than keeping track of specific dates, this allows you to do so much more on a monthly page, which is fantastic. Absolutely amazing. Anyways, this constellation sticker is the Taurus constellation, which is also from my shop, and then these tarot hands are also from my shop too. Moving on into the weeklies / dailies. I guess I should talk about tabs. I did use the Coffee Monsters Co. autumn tabs for this planner. I just love how small hers are. I was going to use the ones from my shop, but I decided I wanted to use what I had in my stash, which was the Coffee Monsters Co. So I went ahead with hers. But for the weeklies and dailies, this is kind of where, like, the meat is of the planner. Like, it's the full meal now. Like, we've been through the appetizer of the beginning of the book. Like, this is the bulk of the planner, is the, like, daily pages and then a little weekly layout here. So what I decided to do was, for the week at a glance, I'll say, this reminds me a lot of like the Hobonichi weeks, where you have the week basically in a horizontal format, very small, and then space to write next to it. I decided to do kind of a small synopsis of what happened that day, just so I can correlate it with the astrology notes that I'm taking on the day itself. So this is like reality of what I did in a very, very brief snapshot. And then this is kind of like the energies of the day. So for example, on April 29th, we had the waning gibbous in Capricorn. I wrote down a little blurb about, you know, what kind of energy that may be, what focusing I need to do based on that sign. And then I also wrote down the major other transit, which was Venus entering Taurus, which then I wrote down another little blurb about that. Basically, this is what this is for the whole month. It's basically the transit, moon phase, and then if there's a holiday. So I have done almost the whole month of May, which I'll flip through this slower here in a second. But I basically set up like this, so it's blank, to where I have just, you know, the moon phase, and then if there's any major transits, and then I leave enough space that I can journal underneath it. I don't really have a whole lot to say during some of these, but I know some other ones I have more to say, and I can always like come down here and add more if I didn't leave enough space somewhere. But I really like how this is super easy to set up for me, and it is allowing me to keep up with my practice, which was the whole point of setting this up. Anyways, so April was these 2 days, and then I decided to separate the day with some washi to start May. And in this book, I decided I'm going to be using one color pen per month, which is a challenge for me. If you are not new to my channel, you will know that I love fountain pen ink, and I have this obsession with a whole bunch of different colors. So I like to have a lot of pens inked up at once. So doing this one color per month in here is a bit of a challenge, but I love how cohesive it looks. So I'm going to continue for now at least. So April was going to be this purple color, which this is the Diamine Jacaranda. And then for May, I decided to do, I think it was Sailor Shikiori Sakura something. I may have to go look back up on this one, but it's a Sailor pink ink for sure. But yeah. The only other thing that I wanted to add in here is the other holidays, which I consider these to be more of like nature holidays. So May 1st is also considered Beltane or May Day, and I wanted to write down what the celebration is, which it is a Gallic celebration, and it basically marks the beginning of summer and fertility. So it's like the equidistance between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. And ways to celebrate are like lighting fires, having a feast, decorating with flowers, dancing around a maypole. Like, it's just a fun like spring summer ritual, and that's what I wanted to denote on here, so I could just keep track of, you know, my notes. Moving on into the other pages for this, I continued with the you know, moon appear and then the aspects. And one thing that I find is interesting is there's days where there's not a whole lot of astrology going on, at least strong astrology, like direct aspects, I should say. And so I don't really have a lot to write on. So it leaves me a lot of empty space at the bottom, which allows me to decorate, which is always really fun. And most of the PET tape in here, by the way, is going to be from London Gifties. I'm obsessed with her PET tapes. If you are not new to this channel, you know this, but if you are new, just know that I have a mild obsession with her PET tapes. And then the washi tape behind that, I believe, is also from Notebook Therapy. Then moving on into the next week, this is week 19, which I also ended up writing the weekdays up here. I continued with the like little snapshot of what was going on that day and then the, you know, astrology notes. I also used these PET tape clippings from the washi tape shop, which I am an affiliate with. If you would like to use code Danielle10, you can save 10% or just use my link in whatever code that they have on their website and you can still save some good money. And then continuing on, you know, same thing pretty much throughout. This is pretty straightforward for me. It's, you know, moon phase, direct aspect, notes, like a little bit of decoration. And then, you know, keeping up with my snapshot of what was going on that day. And that's pretty much it for how I'm using this planner, honestly. It is very easy for me to just keep up with my practice, especially having set it up, you know, a month in advance in a way. Because like when I set this up, I did the whole month of aspects and moon phases and signs and everything. So that way when I sit down to write in it, I just have to pull notes and write out, you know, my notes and be done with it. But yeah, I really have enjoyed this. And I think having it in a separate book like this has been helpful for me instead of just doing all of this in my common planner as well, because it allows me to put more focus on the study of this versus just kind of limiting my space, which is a problem that I typically have in my planners, if I'm being honest, is trying to limit myself to the space that's in it or trying not to have blank space, which is another problem I'm working on. But anyways, I'm really enjoying this. For the last part of this book, I have not set it up yet, but I have intentions to make it like my astrological reference book that I made. So I've talked about this little book before. This is a 𝗦𝘃𝗫 A5 little notebook. I don't even know, memo pad. I don't even know what this thing is actually called now. But I basically have this as like a perpetual swatch book for the old Tomoe River paper. When they come out with a new version of these with the Sanzen paper, I'll make a new one. But I have my astrological reference guide in here as well. And what I've done with this is basically combined a space for all of my astrology notes in one place that I can just move from book to book to book. I'm still keeping this here, and again, when the new ones come out with the new Tomoe River paper, I will make a new one, but I wanted to add this in the back of the Take a Note because it's easier to just kind of have it in the back here, and I don't really have another need for the back pages in this planner since I'm using it only for really studying, if that makes sense. So having all of this stuff moved over into the back pages would make it easier for me to reference this when I'm taking my notes, because this is what I pull my notes from when I'm looking at the different aspects throughout the day. So I look at, you know, what I have going on with the moon. So like it's a new moon, dream, manifest, new beginnings, fresh starts. And then I go over here and I'm like, okay, well, we are in Capricorn. So then I look at Capricorn and I'm like, okay, it's it's an earth sign, it's cardinal. It's all about dedication, persistence, hard work. Like I look at all of the different notes that I've made for that sign, and then I make those notes about it. And it's pretty straightforward for me, at least. Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have done for this planner. It is very, very easy to just keep it simple, and I think that's what I like about it right now. I don't really have any other use for this other than astrology. If I were to use this in a a planner other than something that I'm studying a topic on, I think this would work really good for as a work planner, because you have the ability to put your, you know, weekly meetings here on the weekly side and then take notes every day or have a daily task list. So I think this would work really good if you needed something very simple and you didn't need a whole lot of extra pages, if I'm being honest, which is kind of what I'm liking it for the astrology bits. Anyways, that's all I have for this little planner today. If you have any questions about any of the supplies I used, please let me know down in the comments. I'm always happy to share what I used in these kinds of setups. And maybe I will buy another one for next year, depending on how this goes. I know I've been talking a lot about planner burnout, planner indecisiveness, using what you have kind of situation. And this was definitely a project that I wanted to do, but I was a little skeptical on, but I'm really happy I did it. So yeah, I still am doing really good with the other planners in my system. If you were curious, I have found, I think, a way to use them that is not burning me out anymore, which I'm super, super happy with. Anyways, sorry about the tangent. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, but I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.